There we go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening from PJ from Midlife Models. Good evening to Michael from Gravesend, Australia Diecast Salvage. Good evening to Laz from Lazlo Collectibles. And good evening to the Governor and Mr. Martin Dare from Martin Dare's Dinky Restorations. Episode 18, chaps. How do we keep managing to keep it going? I don't know, but we have done so far. Good evening to Mr. Ian Holly in the chat.
Evening, Ian.
For joining us, Ian. We are missing Luke this week. Michael has kindly stepped in to fill the void. Luke has gone off metal detectoring on the Salisbury Plains. Hopefully he'll make us a few mint and buy us that DMC coach that we're after. I don't suspect he'll find that much. Probably bottle candles. Good evening to Mr. Tony Hughes. Good evening, Tony. Good to see you again, my friend.
Got evening, Tony.
Tony, when we
get
evening,
around Tony. Ian.
So we're just going to waffle.
Good evening, Moz.
Moz Models. Yes. Mate, I'm sorry I missed you last night. We just kind of logged up. And,
evening, Les. How are you, mate?
I think as we're getting older, we're all getting to bed a little bit earlier. So sorry I missed you last night, mate, but it's good to hear from you. And thanks for joining us. So we're just going to waffle for a couple of minutes while we let the chat build up. We usually get 9 or 10 regulars, as we like to call them. We've got benefactors, we've got taverners, we've got irregular regulars. So it's all getting very Masonic as we're going forward.
Masonic?
Yeah, Masonic. Do you like that? Do you like that?
I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Don't ask me to spell it, mate. I can
no.
Do the M-A-S-O-N. That's yeah. So what we'll do is, whilst we're letting that chat build up, we'll just bring up a slide to thank our benefactors that are put together. So I thank you, me really, Mr. Ian Ollie, Mr. Lee Jackson, and Mr. Lee Jackson. We want to give a shout out to who's just recovering from an operation on his back. I'm not going to go into detail, but we know that he's safe and he's back at home and he's recovering. So well done, Lee. A certain gentleman called Laszlo Patsky. He's a bloke we all know pretty well, I think. Luke, Martin, and Mr. Tony Hughes. Thank you, chaps, for helping us with our licensing and costs. It's great stuff. Now, what we'll do is then we'll go around the houses firstly. And catch up with Marcel. I got back a bit early from my gig. I know that he's doing DJing karaokeing. I suppose that'll get quite busy this time of year as well when it must. So we'll go around the houses and see what everybody's been up to. So Michael, you're here this week. Do you want to kick us off with what you've been up to?
Well, as I'm visiting Sydney, I can't display anything because I don't have any stuff down here. But I've been working on a Lone Star Impy Supercars VW Combi, or Samba, some people call them, because it's got the windows up the top. Been doing a little bit of 3D printing on doing a 1958 Ford Nucleon car, which it looks like a futuristic prototype. 3D printing a Holden panel van, or that some people call them Sandman overseas, because it's the vehicle which they see in the first series of Mad Max, the red panel van that he has in there. General tidying up and looking for work.
Cool.
Me and you both, brother. Me and you both. That's a different story. Laz, what's been going on in Laz's life this week?
Yeah, well, just take apart a couple of cars. Paints today, a lot of priming and getting ready for extra work. So I've got a few cars on the go. So
good stuff. Mick's just joined us. I've got to answer
Who's
this
Mick?
vital question because Moses just said, "How do we donate via PayPal?" I'll just bring this up. Les, it's covered by everybody's screen. I'll tell you what, mate. I'll send you a link in the chat, in Messenger chat. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can just get everybody out of it. Apart from, no, I can't. All right. Well, I shall see if I can move. Can't move them either. That's gone really well. What a total disaster that turned into pretty quickly.
I've got a full-on lad face then for a second.
Full-on Laz. You can't be the full-on Laz. No, I don't know where we're going with that. Steady. Let's see if I can.
Here we go.
Let's see if I can get this up.
It's all good. It's all going Pete Tong.
There we go. So if you'd like to become a benefactor, anybody who wants to help us out and help support our running costs, please use the link in red, which is paypal.me/DMC admin. All one word, no spaces, no gaps. And that will go through into my PayPal account. And the money that we raise goes towards funding our license costs, etc. Let's see if we can get everybody back on. There we go.
You're getting good at this, mate.
It's almost like I've used to work in IT, you know.
Yeah.
Not very well, apparently. So I will, Moz, I'll send you a link, mate. I'm not used to calling him Moz. Moz, I'll send you a link in Messenger chat. Right. We've got a chat away, Lola. I know where it is, but we've got to back. How do we come donate? Good evening to Mick. Welcome along, Mick. Good to see you. Yeah, you're covering the screen. Right, so there we go. Martin.
Yeah. I've done I'm working on 2 Lotus Elan Series 2s, one convertible, one hard top. They should be ready for this Wednesday's video. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if nothing goes wrong between now and then. And I'm working on a mini Tonka, which is the dump truck, red and yellow. And I'll be showing you the UV light that I've been using to whiten the plastic and actually take the yellowing out of the window unit, which works quite well. And also I'm not going to do the Mighty Antar for the military build. It's going to be the Gorgie Carrier with a K field kitchen. So we'll be doing that, and that'll be in a olive drab from Halford with the US star and labels. And then I'll be doing the donations and purchases again. So,
the milk of human kindness sometimes astounds me. I'm going to call him Les. Let's cut to the chase. Les, you're a legend. £60 donated from Outlaw Paints, matey. That is
well done, lad.
incredible. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Oh,
we will.
thank you very much.
Well, you'll be added to next month's benefactors and get yourself on the list. You're on the list. So thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Tony, PJ, how did the 3D print go after I left last night? Well, funny you should mention that, Tony. I have got 9 doors, flaps, whatever you wish to call them. I'll be putting them in an envelope for you, sir. They may need a bit of fettling is the word, isn't it? I think fettling. I've just got to cure them, but they'll be whiz-winging themselves to you early next week. So I hope you can find some of them useful, Ian. They're not all 100% brilliant, but I'm hoping you can get 3 out of them. Sorry, they're not all brilliant, Tony, but I'm hoping you'll get 3 out of them that will solve your problem. I haven't been doing any vehicles this week, but I've been doing some painting. So I finished off my Conan figure. I don't think I've shown anybody on this channel since last time, and this is all done with 3D printed in 2 parts and is done with Citadel paints. So I'm really pleased with that. I love it. And then I'm currently playing a game called, well, I've been playing it for 20 odd years, to be fair. A lot of people play World of Warcraft. I used to play a game called Diablo and still do. And delighted to find that on Yegi, which is the 3D pattern site for STL files, I found some characters on there which are 3D printed, obviously, and I'm going to be doing them with Citadel paints, because across this road, I think I've mentioned it before, I found a Citadel a Warhammer gaming group, and they sell Citadel paints, and they've been really good with me. And I'd like to do a bit of business with them and give them a shout out. I'll put a link to them at some point next month, I think, because I can't pronounce it off the top of my head. I get little words wrong. They're mine big words. Right. So once again, Ian, Tony, Moz, all the guys online, thank you so much for your continued support. It means a lot to us. It gives us a chance to go and do a bit more. The more we get donated, we'll start upping the scale of this presentation. We're at the minute we're on the lowest licensing fee, but with that massive boost from Les, we might just be able to cover next year's. So that's fantastic. Cool. I'll just have Outlaw Paints website somewhere on the chat. Will do, mate. We'll put you down as a sponsor as much as a benefactor. Thank you very much. I'll let you know when they are received. No problem, Tony. I will just confirm with you that I've got your email address. So that was the first time I've done a spare parts, Michael, for cars since I've had the 3D printer. Everything's been other than 3D prints for the vehicles that we wanted. Right. So that all being said, we don't have a guest as much as Michael is a guest this week. Michael's been with us before, and everybody knows Michael. We're going to carry on with our questions that we got created by an AI chat website, which Moz, you want to try this? Go to AI Chat GP and ask it to create 20 questions you would ask an Airfix kit builder, and you'd be surprised at things it comes up with that you never thought of. So we've done about I think 18 of these. Things keep pinging off. Let's start from the bottom and work our way back. What are the most common mistakes made by amateur? I mean, this is quite ironic because we're all amateur, really. You can't go to college and learn to be a dinky restorer by trade, but I suppose you can. What are the most common mistakes made by amateur die-cast restorers, and how can they be avoided? This should cut everybody on the up because nobody knows what the questions are. And I'll let Michael go first because he's got his finger up.
Starting the hobby in the first place. Overcoming the frustrations when it doesn't work out and you find a new way of doing it. Yeah, to get to the next level.
What's that website again? What's that website? What's that website again? What you just which website you on about, lads? Sorry, mate. Jerry's joined us in the chat as well. Good evening, Jerry. It was good to see Jerry. Actually, we taunted him and teased him, and he joined the tavern. Bless him, and he's been on for 2 weeks now on the run. He's got to only come once more. He's to be a full-fledged taverner. Bless him. So it was great to meet Jerry, and thank you, mate, for joining us. It was good fun. Ian Ollie, PJ, sending my donation for streaming subscription next week. That's fine. Thank you very much, Ian. Chat GP. What I'll do, Les, bear with me, mate, and I'll send you a couple of links at the end of the show. One for the paper. Well, you've got the PayPal now. I'll send you the Chat GP one as well. Just sent my November donation with a little extra for the printing and postage. Oh, Tony, you thank you, sir. You're doing enough. I'm sick of hearing my own voice. Martin, for goodness sake, dig me out this hole.
I'm going to say you just pass me that shovel, mate, and I'll just fill it in for you.
No, you wouldn't dig me out the hole. You just bury me, and I've done with it.
No.
Here's a live example of that question that you were just asking.
What was that then? Sorry.
You dig yourself into a hole.
Yeah.
Okay. Primary mistakes made by amateurs. I would say the biggest one and the most, how can I say, not devastating, but the most one which causes you frustration would be your painting. Yeah, that's in regards of not preparing your casting properly and not really going at it in the right way, if that's the right. How can I say it without trying to be? I try to put it politely without being rude. That it's your preparation.
It's rushing.
Yeah, you got to prepare your model first. Watch other people, ask questions. That's it. That's the beauty of YouTube. You can watch other restorers or other people on the relevant subject that you want, and don't just watch one. Watch several different ones, and then you can pick which you think is suitable for you. And if always ask questions, there's never a wrong question. If you're on a forum, ask a question. You know, most people are polite enough to answer you correctly, even though you're a beginner. But for me, I would say the biggest problem would be your paint, because you took it apart, you've cleaned it all, you've done that bit lovely, and then you make a cock up on your paint. It's not an easy thing to do, whether you're an airbrusher or you're a rattle can. Both of them have got their own different ways of working, and they've all got their own problems in their own way. So you just got to be patient. Start off with something really simple. A single color is my advice to anybody. Will be definitely do a single color. See how you get on with it. And you know, you can always strip it if you're not happy with it. But yeah, please watch other people's videos, see how they work. Find a video which will explain what you want. That's what I did when I first started doing restoring. I knew a little bit about it, but I've watched other people's videos and looked for the ones which actually told me what I wanted to know. So it's worth looking at that. But that to me would be the frustration is paint. Get to know your paint. Get to know what you need to do to prepare your body. Prepare your paint, like keeping especially if you're using rattle cans like I do, is keeping your paint in a warming your paint up first, warming your casting up, and going on your light coats. I mean, it's a whole different area if we're going to go on that way. That's just one frustration I would say to beginners would be the paint, because drilling it out is pretty basic. I think the other problem would be blowing your posts out, going too heavy with your drill when you first when you see the rivets, you think, oh yeah, I'll put a drill in there, and you drill them out. But then when you come to drill the post out to put the rivet or put the screw, whichever you're going to do, you've not got it steady, you've not done it, and you're going too harsh, and you either snap your drill bit off in the pillar, which I think quite a few people have done, or you drill through the post, you blow it out. You go off center, you keep drilling and all of a sudden bang, it comes out the side, or you use a slightly bigger drill bit than you needed to, and it's chewed out all the side of it. Yeah, but it's not lost. Yeah. You can recover from that. You know, it's not a problem. You can recover from that. So it's like that. You can recover from broken posts. You can recover from failed paint. You know, so really, I would say those two for me, would be the main problem. Blowing out your posts and your paint.
Michael's got his finger raised, so points to raise,
Well,
Michael.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I started painting my cars 40, 50 years ago, and I still don't get it perfect today. All I've got to do is mention red Audi, and everybody can have a good laugh.
Yes, especially me.
No, it's what Martin says is true. The thing to do is, yes, watch a lot of YouTube videos. So even, so because they've been, so like everybody starts off with Marty's Matchbox makeovers. He's not putting out as much today like he used to because he's moved. Lee or Time Rider from Wee Little Cars. I used to watch Rob, Danny. There was about 14 different blokes that I used to watch. The ones, a lot of them have gone to the wayside, but their channels are still active. Like Bare Metal Hot Wheels, Diecast Resurrection, Matchbox Resurrection. There's lots in there. Everybody will need to find their own way of what's comfortable for them to keep going into the hobby as they step up from the one level to the next.
Laz, what was the hardest thing you come across when you first started that you found difficult?
Because Michael and Martin, they all said the same things I wanted to say. So I was, simple, easy card, one paint, so no two-tone paint. Possibly maybe with a dark windscreen, so you don't need to worry about the windscreen. I just
Good point.
Yeah, good point.
Easy, not a regular wheel matchbox. So like an 80s matchbox, so you just can, snap the wheels out, so you don't need to grind them off. So things like this, and just do an easy, simple job. See how you paint, see how you clean, which paint stripper is better for you, the gel or the caustic soda. And I started like this. I made a lot of mistakes. They looked horrible, but you pick up things, and it's been 4 years now. I think I do a bit better than when I started.
I'm gonna. The only thing I'll add to it is that you can get flooded with watching people's videos, and I don't mean to detract from watching people's videos, but if you're watching the same kind of videos where they're doing the same process over and over again, you're just going to kind of copy that process over and over again. So sometimes it's worth going on to YouTube, because you can ask a question on there and saying, how's the best way to drill a post hole? And then you'll get a load of videos show you different methods. And one of the things I always like to do is to observe people doing new things. I mean, when we all first started, this is going back 4 or 5 years, Martin and Corgi Bob, people like that, Crap Old Nick, were doing innovative things, and then Paul Restorer came along and just took it to another level, but he was doing it on an industrial level. It almost appeared that we haven't got not everybody's got access to. But I will pick up on the drilling. Jason Powell's joined us. I don't know if this is your first time with us, Jason, but welcome along. Drilling is the order.
Jason. Evening, Jason.
I can't disagree with that. But what I did find out was it's all about speed. Slow is best. Fast is not good. Just keep yourself a pot of petroleum jelly by the side of you. Take it steady now, steady, Martin. You're giving me that look.
It was a look that it was basically the way you said you started with all petroleum jelly rather than use the word Vaseline. That's what I was laughing at.
Vaseline had completely escaped me head. That's what. If I'd have said baby lubricant, that would have sounded even worse. You know what I mean?
True, true, very true, very true. Yeah.
Lord above, sweet baby Jesus. Yeah, I use a one. The thing with the drills is, if you're doing a match, I don't. I'll ask the lads, but if you're doing, I've seen that, Michael. Yeah, and I'm not. You're not tempting me to spend another £85. Put your devil toys away. Do you use a 1.6 or a 1.7, Laz, drill bit? 1.6. You see, I use a 1.7. Now, the reason I do is when I'm using a 1.6, I find it a real tight fit to get the thread on the post. But if I use a 1.7, I get a nice light thread.
To be honest with you, I don't tap anymore. So I rather glue, because, or I just find out that I've got very small rivets.
Yeah.
So if the car is,
Put your phone down, Michael.
For example, a majorette is normally 1 to 56 or 53, so they are a little bit bigger. So the rivet post is a bit bigger. So last time I've done, actually, I asked my mom to send you that Ford Escort I've done majorette. So you're gonna get that.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You see that is 1 to 53, I think, and that has a small rivet. So I rather glue or use rivets than tapping. I don't like tapping anymore.
Yeah, I'm just picking up. We're getting crikey. I've never known the chat to go so quick. So that's great stuff for us. I'm just going to go back a bit and just roll back to some of the chat. Tony just sent my November donation. Thank you, sir. Moz, I'll talk to you later about links, mate, offline if you want. That's not a problem. Just give me a call. We're usually on here for a couple of hours, so we'll be done at around about 10 o'clock. Jason's saying when he first, again, welcome, Jason. I've just started to restore old models. Love the advice, guys. Thank you. Whatever we can do, mate, that's what we're all about here. So you're more than welcome, and come and join us in the tavern on a Friday night, or join us on Facebook. You can find us at the DMC on Facebook. You're more than welcome if you haven't joined already. Yes, it can get colourful. Yes, the tavern can get colourful on a Friday night, but I thought it was quite conservative.
Subdued, yeah.
Subdued, yeah. I don't know why. It was a bit subdued last night. No particular reason. Jerry, painting is 90% preparation and 10% perspiration. Can't argue with that. So we're catching up here. Jason saying drilling is the hardest. I mess up. Just speed, mate. I just get it. So when I'm drilling at the slowest speed, where you can just see the curl of the material coming off, like, and try and keep it at that pace. Now, Michael I kind of pawned it off slightly because I'm not spending more money, Michael. I've seen that bloody drill, and I was so tempted to buy it. It's a mini drill, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's my next investment.
Right.
My next investment.
And it's about £85, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about £60, £65 your currency, 133 in mine.
Yeah, God's currency. Yeah. I mean, if you can get a brace for your drill, great. You can get a manual one and even put cordless drills in it and just clamp it to your desk. So you get a mini version of a big pillar post. You know, you can use Dremels. I don't tout the Dremel as being a good drilling tool myself. For doing stuff for burrs, the Dremel's good, and sanding, but not. I'm not sold on it as a drilling tool.
Go
on, Martin. By all means.
I found if you're going to use with the separate hand operated drill presses you can buy, you can buy them sort of and you just bolt your drill to it. Unfortunately, nowadays with so many cordless different styles of drills, it's quite hard to get the right press, because you'll buy them and they won't fit. I mean, I bought two, and neither of them fitted the drill, so that was no good. Yeah, Jason, when you're drilling, you'll find some corgis or some dinkies will have a little dimple on the rivet post, which is very handy for you, that you don't have to use the pilot drill. You can go straight in with the if you get your drill bits and turn them upside down so that you've got the shank, put it over your rivet, and you'll see whether or not it's the right size, and then you can just slowly, if it's got a pilot hole in it, you can just slowly drill that until it starts shaving it off. But be careful not to go down too deep into your base plate.
So this Matchbox crane has already got a dint or pimple, inverted pimple ready. So an ideal
starting point.
So I think we've got World War III going on now, so the fireworks have just kicked off.
It's an ideal starting point. Is a little dimple, but if you've got a smooth top to rivet, or a nipple rivet as I call them, you really need to get either. I like to file mine a little bit flat, and then you can put a center punch on it, just getting it roughly in the center, and ping that in, and then use a smaller drill, just a thin one, just to get you started, and then go to your bigger one. Once you get near your base plate, just be careful. Sometimes what happens is when you're using the drill, the right size drill, as you're drilling down, the actual post itself will spread slightly. So you think, oh, that's got it, but it hasn't got it. It's just hanging on by that little bit of warm metal what's fused itself to the base plate. So you can just rocky drill a little bit like that, and that'll snag it off.
You'll see a ring as when you get to that point where it's absolutely spot on, the last shaving you take off will come off like a ring, and it'll be the last part that's standing prominent to the base plate. And once that's you've hit the nail on the head, then the nail on the head. There you go.
You can also use this for matchboxes. It's like a hand.
Yeah. I'll do my threading with one of them.
Yeah, you can use it, but you don't have a drill. And this one I think goes down to 0.8 or 0.6. So this you can just put the drill bit in here.
Yep.
And you do it by hand, so you're not gonna make
you got Michael. You got you.
Damage.
If there's also a drill bit that Paul from that guy production uses. It's got a thing on the outside of it and uses the drill, plus also it's almost like a drill bit for spot welds, where it has a sharp center and then a flat edge on the outside, which will take the shoulder off for you.
Is it like a counter, isn't it?
It's like a wood drill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think one of the topics we talked about covering before the end of the year was tools, the tools that we use. So we can almost start off with a base kit to a more advanced where we've been and what we've got now kind of scenario. So that might be coming up before. That might be the last one we do before Christmas. So what the question was? No, that was. That's about 2 hours.
That was what is the most frustrating or.
Yeah.
Well, my dog coughing, by the way.
I've got my dog in. One of the most common mistake amateurs, diecast restorers make. I concur with the. I think difficulty level is go with something simple. I mean, Laz said I'll take it down one step even less than that. You can get a lot of the early Matchbox vehicles that have got no windscreens, no interiors. They're just completely plain, and you can paint them one colour, and that's all you've got to do.
Yeah.
And then if you do that and do it right, then you step up a level. And that's the way I started. The colours have got a lot to do. Priming colours have got a lot to do with how good a effect you get. Me and Laz both did the Coca-Cola, the little Matchbox Coca-Cola one, and yellow is a terrible colour to spray. And I was painting on white, or I was spraying white all the time, until somebody said, "Have a go at red."
Yeah.
Use a red primer and spray yellow on top of it, and it made a world of difference. So, as Martin says, I completely agree with what both you guys are saying. Colours, get your painting right. Do some research on what primers work well with what top coats. There's plenty. We've all done videos, I think, on drilling. So go to any one of our channels and search for drilling. You'll find a set of videos. And simplicity. Start with something simple. It's basically that simple, really.
And don't be worried about asking questions.
No.
Ask a question. Ask a question.
That is what the DMC is for. You don't get many channels where you can go and meet the real Martin Deer and ask him live what you think of. No, I was going to say what you think of it. Don't ask
anybody can ask a question. Feel free. I mean, if people want to email me, I get a few people emailing me asking questions, which is fine because I don't want to put it on because some people may be a bit embarrassed. They don't want to put it in the comment section, so they'd rather ask you personally, which I haven't got a problem with. That's fine. If I can help somebody out, then I'll help them out rather than not help them out, because I like to treat people as I like to be treated myself. So if I was learning and somebody was nice enough to help me out, then that's cool. So I will help anybody out if I can. I don't know everything, and I don't profess to know everything, but if I can help you in one way or point you in the right direction, then I will help you out.
I mean, even on a Friday night, the tavern's a hotbed of foul language and all that kind of stuff. But even in that, we're asking each other questions. Martin's been recently looking in or asking questions about 3D printing, where the route that me and Michael have gone down. So, and I'll still go back to Martin and ask questions about wheel sizes and colours and stuff like that. And Laz about how he's done an effect. We always pass this information between us. So come onto the Facebook channel, onto the DMC Facebook channel, ask your question. You can use Messenger to ask a question. You can use the Facebook chat to ask a question. You can join us in the tavern, a little bit more, as I say, lively than this chat is. But you can always. There's also a way to come and ask us a question. Jerry, well, Jason said he uses a 1.5. You see, I'd find that a little bit tight, but that's just me. It's all down to what works for you, basically.
Yeah, but you've also got to be careful, PJ, with saying that is, depending what vehicles you're taking apart. Some of the Hot Wheels, their posts are quite thin. I've seen some Matchbox posts thin, as you know. Some of the Corgis and Dinkies, when they got more than two rivet posts, they're quite thin. So you've got to be. I think you can. If you're 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, you've got the minimum, the maximum, and you got one in the middle. So I think you're roughly round about the right ballpark figure in one of those. Tap sizes is sort of pretty standard anyway. But yeah, you've got to look at your post. There's no point trying to force a drill down if you know there's going to blow the post out.
I found a set of drills and taps on Amazon, and I've been using them for 3 years now, never changed. And in fact, the trick with keep it. See that there's a perfect drilled out post. Look, so you've got the dip where Laz has marked it, and there's no waste over the top. So he's got rid of the burr that's over the top. It's ready, ideal. Yeah. Go on, Laz. What's the post width? You're muted, mate, for some reason.
Sorry, this is 4.85 millimeters.
4.8. Okay.
So you can, I don't know if you're able to read this, but it's 4 there where 0 is.
Mm.
And then you look which one is closer. You can see 8
Yeah.
and 5 is in line with the number. So that is 4.85. So you can use a 3.5 millimeter drill. You can put a 3 mil rivet in.
And sorry, Laz, is that because of your vehicle choice or brand choice? Is that a Majorette or is that a Matchbox?
This is just for spares. This is,
Yeah.
I took the windscreen from this one, but I just reeled this out as well so I can get the windscreen. Now I've got another 2 minis. I'm not gonna restore this.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
for the base, for tires, for the interior spares.
But we'll but by all means, you know, everybody in the chat, give us some. If you want to hear about any topics, put it in the chat, and we're always thinking about what we can talk about in going forward. Jerry's saying, let me just make sure I haven't missed anybody. Jason, take the drilling slowly. Use a lubricant, light oil or petroleum jelly. See, even Ian Hulley has mentioned the words petroleum jelly. So that's
Ian's polite. You're not normally, so
okay.
you know.
Thanks for that. Shot me down in flames again. Tony, my tip for any beginner is get a pillar stand for your hand drill or a small molders pillar drill for £50 to £100. It makes the drilling post out. It makes drilling posts out and drilling the tap in or rivet hole a lot easier. Jason said 1.5. Jerry, the most important part of drilling is to use a sharp drill bit. Heaven, yes. A dull bit will wander. Yes, it will. Or you have to press too hard and you will snap the drill bit. And I assure you, I mean, the boys have probably all done this. If you snap a drill bit off, you ain't getting in that hole anymore anytime soon. It's like diamond. They are,
Really,
Jesus.
Yeah, you can forget that, I think.
Forget it. It's cheaper to buy yourself a new car than save on the frustration.
Well, yeah, I mean, I quite agree. If you've got a dull drill bit, not only does it hardly do any drilling, but it heats up the post to the point of fracture if you're not careful. That post will. Because if you've noticed while you're drilling, if you don't use a drill stand like I don't, I like to feel the drill, what it's doing, because when you're drilling a post out, if you notice the casting itself, the way it is cast in its casting, I learned this from when I was welding, that you've got pockets in there. And if you've ever done any hand drilling on as many die casts, you'll find that you'll be drilling quite happily. All of a sudden, it'll go further without any pressure because it's hitting a pocket. And then you'll get a bit of a tougher alloy in it, and it can. If I like to hold it, I can feel the drill. I can through my hand. I don't always put my hand.
I use this kind of. That was terrible way of just showing it, but
No,
I put mine on like this with a vehicle like that.
No, well, I put mine on the bench. I put
you're more like that.
Yeah, I put it on the bench, and while I'm drilling, I can feel what the drill bit is doing through the drill itself. And I found I have used a drill stand. I even got a drill stand. I've had them for years when I was doing woodwork. But I found that the drill and the stand doesn't tell you what's going on with the drill. Doesn't tell you what's going on in the metal. Doesn't tell you, and you can be quite happily drilling away, and you could drop down through a hole. You could twist your post off. You know, because you don't know. So that, you know, I mean, it's horses for courses. It's whatever you feel comfortable. If you want to use a drill stand, fine, use a drill stand. You know, but me personally, I don't on die cast unless I'm drilling through solid metal. What I know is nothing yet. But if you drill die cast, I'm sure somebody else has experienced it. If you're drilling it on a bench, you can feel the drill tightening up. It's getting warm. you can feel that it's hit a pocket, yeah, and it's gone through. That's so that's my opinion. So you can use either or. It's entirely up to the individual.
Well, the other thing is when you I saw Ian mention Parkside. Let me just rattle down these, and we'll come back to some of these points. So Tony says the book says 1.6 millimeters for a 1.6 millimeter drill for an M2 tap. It's fair. Is a fair fair comment. Yeah. It's just my personal choice. I like to go for the 1.7. A drop of common vegetable oil is great for lubrication, says Tony, of drill bits and tap gestures. And it sounds a lot better when you're talking about that it's in a discussion than petroleum jelly. You
always try KY jelly, but I don't
trying to keep it together. Ian saying also keep the drill bit level, don't let it wander, and use a marker on the drill bit to gauge the post depth. Now it's funny, Laz, have you still got that little drill kit there by the side of you that you had? I just want to give a tip, if I may. Rather than put I'll let me come back. Let me just finish these off. So also Parkside PJ, yeah. So the actual handle that Laz is showing there. What you can do is forget the drills and put a cocktail stick into the drill bit. Put the cocktail stick against your post, and we'll put a little black line on the cocktail stick to mark off what depth you want to go to. So I always keep I brought two or three of them. I think the cheapest chips, as an auctioneer type bloke once said. I think they're about $1.99, $2.99. They're not dear, and you can just keep dipping it in and out every time you've done a little bit of slow drilling. And once you get to that black line, it's a great guide. Great guide. Also keep the trip bit. So Pops PJ. Yes, now when we're talking about the drill stands, you can see on this one. When we talk back in the good old days when I was learning to be a joiner in the joinery apprenticeship, most drills had a collar, a proper collar where they would fit into a drill stand. This Parkside one, as you can see, hasn't got one because the speed regulator gets in the way. So
that's what I was saying earlier on. Yeah,
you've got to look for, as Martin's probably said, you've got the suitable drill to go in the drill stand. Martin has the toast monkey on his back, says Jerry.
It's not 10 o'clock yet.
Is it getting close, Jerry? Is it getting close, mate?
He's got another hour and 10. You can tell when it's 10 o'clock UK time, Jerry, because it's toast time.
That's right. I'm munching on a Lamington for him.
That's it, Laz. You got it, mate.
Go on, Laz.
You can also use this as well. That's the same tool.
Yeah.
You can make the depth.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with this, how do you call this in English?
Vernier calipers.
Caliper. It's
complicated.
Vernier caliper.
Complicated. Too many numbers on there for me, mate.
I
remember. I
use a digital one.
Yes.
When I was I remember when I was a youngster at school, the first ever slide rule they brought in. Right, and our maths teacher stood at the front of the class, and he had this box, and he opened it up, and it was a big slide rule, and we all looked. The flipping heck is that? And he passed it round. He passed it round, and I thought, nah, that's way beyond my capabilities, completely. But yeah, they're good tools to have, lads. They are. I've got one of those. They are good.
Trust the digital.
Vernier calipers, they're called.
Yeah, I don't like the digital one. I don't trust that.
Oh, I do. Yeah. It takes all the work out of it. Just there you go.
We were not allowed to use it in the school. The digital.
I'm nearly 60. I'm done school. I'm moved on. Right.
Next question.
Ian is saying, PJ, try sending me that link again and I'll try and come on screen if this flipping phone will let me. If you don't mind, Ian, because we've got a flood going on this week, me and you will try offline with next week, and then we'll have you as a guest the following week. Jason, I'm restoring a Dinky 3. Sorry, I put my teeth in. I'm restoring a Dinky 963 tractor at the moment. Martin?
963 tractor. 963. Yeah, I'm trying to think which one that one is. I've got my book here. I'll have a look.
Have your books? Oh, look at the other boys. They've got their books ready.
963. That's the is that the smaller one, Jason, or the bigger one? They did a bigger and a small one, didn't they? Early one.
I'll let his nibs look for it.
Oh yeah, cheers, mate.
Slide rule. Slide rules sent man to the moon. Yeah, that's probably well, that's absolutely right. Yeah,
they did. They even showed it in Hidden Figures.
Yeah,
in the movie.
More power or less power than a digital watch. Right. We'll let Martin search for that for a minute. What advice do you have for collectors on how to store or display their die-cast models to avoid damage?
Yeah, we had this one.
We did. Okay. This I feel we kind of covered this, but I'm going to go over it again. Have you ever had to create a part from scratch during a restoration? If so, what methods did you use? Because this can cover quite a various range of answers.
Because
a lot will depend on what part it is that you're trying to recreate. If it's a bonnet, you can use plastic card, credit card. Excuse me. If you've got nothing to work on, same thing with doors. Or depends on what materials you've got on hand as to what you can make. Sometimes
we have covered it, but there are just to probably changes that we had that we've got since we last answered it. There's now a lot of 3D prints available. I've done them like these doors that I've done for Tony for the vehicles, the Matchbox vehicle he's got. That's the thing to keep your eye on. New things that are cropping up, new ways of doing things, new engineering methods, and the 3D printer made a massive change to some of our lives more than others. But certainly,
what was it?
Fine part.
Sorry, what would he do? Was it a 437 Muir Hill loader?
It was a Dinky 963 tractor.
963, right? I'm halfway through.
It's the one with the tracks with the figure driving it, says Jason.
One with the tracks. One
with the tracks and the figure driving it.
936.
King size one, is it?
That would be Dinky, wouldn't it? Is it king size?
No, there's a Dinky king size, isn't there? The larger model.
Oh yeah, you're Super Kings, you want about?
Yeah. Right. So, Lars, anything you want to add to?
Yeah, I'm just looking at this one. It's actually
we've gone back to step one.
Made in Czechoslovakia.
Oh, so right.
That at least
made by the neighbours, then, really.
At least 34 years old, at least, because Czechoslovakia doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. This was like £1 or something, £2 on the flea market.
What advice do you have for collectors on how to store or display we've kind of covered that. How do you handle missing or broken windows on older die-cast models? That's the next unicorn. I think we spoke about this last night, didn't we, Michael, about that's the last link in the process that we'd like to be able to cover, which is to be able to make some really nice windscreens the way that the vac forming does, that Paul Restorer does. But we can, most other things we can do. Me personally, if it's one that I really want to do, it's either going to be a Batmobile or a Jerry Anderson type vehicle, I'm going to buy it off eBay. It's that simple. I can't do windscreens at the moment. I can pretty much do everything else, but we can't do windscreens to that level of clarity. Michael?
Sorry, I was distracted. I'll be the naughty boy. Ask the question again.
It's all right. I'll be the naughty boy. I'm going to be able to focus on the screen to be able to see it. How do you handle missing or broken windows on older die-cast models?
It depends on how damaged it is. If it's only got slight scratches in it, you sand it down with wet and dry or emery paper, and then sort of clean it up as much as you can. If it's got cracks in it, sort of deep scratches in it, or it's broken, it's got a hole in it, and you don't want to buy a reproduction one. These days I use the clear UV resin, patch up a hole in it. It's not perfect, but it's a lot, sort of, it's not too bad. Or you can cut out that whole section, and with the clear UV resin, create a new section in there. So if you can make a mold, make a new unit.
I hope I don't forget this, but I've got that's bullet pointed me a question that I would like to ask you before we. I mean, the questions we've asked a lot.
I don't want to appear stupid and thick, but what was that number again?
Get a pen and paper, love. Get a pen and paper.
I'm going to need it, I think.
It was a dinky
963.
963. Right.
963.
Right.
You've probably been looking for a dinky.
Just think of 69 backwards 3 times.
Yeah.
963. Blow Knox heavy tractor. Oh yeah, the Blow Knox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, I've done. Yeah, I know what you're on about now. Yeah.
Go on, lads. Go on.
Yeah, I need to go.
You need to go. You need to pick the other half up. That's all right, my friend.
Okay, so I'll see you next week. And,
all right. Take care, buddy. See you. Have a good weekend.
Take care. Thank you, and thank you for everyone joining the chat tonight. Bye,
Always
guys.
A pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure.
See you, lads.
I'm gonna try and do, because Ian has asked, and I'm gonna see if I can send Ian the link. I hope you can hear me, Ian. I'll copy this link. I'm going to send it to Messenger. Bear with me, folks. This is live, as live as it goes.
That's the red one there. Sorry, the red one there.
Cover me backside, Martin.
No, I'm not covering nothing, mate. It's 963. Yeah, that's the one with the track. That's the one without the shovel on the front. Yeah, I got you now, Jason. Yeah. I was a bit confused there with the numbers, mate.
That's
done.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you get old, Martin. So it's the numbers just keep flying over the top of the head like an F-111.
Ian, by all means, check Messenger, Ian. I've sent you a link.
Believe you me, it does that. It goes up. So yeah, it's a nice way to do that, Jason. That one, it's nice, especially without the blade on the front. Makes it a lot easier. But I did one a while ago. I can't remember where it is now. It's a big chunky thing. So yeah, fairly straightforward. That base plate getting off of there, driver from underneath. What colour are you doing it, Jason? Which colour are you doing it? Are you doing it in the red, or are you going to go a different colour?
We'll see what he said when it comes. With the figure driving it, orange with green wheels. So why are you doing it as
Ah,
original?
yeah.
Yeah.
Orange with the green wheels. Yeah.
Although I sprayed it red, so okay.
Yeah. Well, it's
Sprayed it
already
red.
orange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian's saying, PJ, I've done the poem for this month's DMC challenge. I'll send it to you tomorrow. No problem. So thank you very much. I think it's Dinky Stroke we call it. Do you guys know Johan at Belgium Diecast Restoration? But Johan takes part in every challenge every time we do. We don't get to talk to him. I wish we could. He's a great guy, Johan. He's a big supporter of the channel. Always takes part in the events that we do.
Always, isn't he? Him and Ron, and Ron does as well, doesn't he? So
Sumo Diecast Ron. I don't know how. I'll have to, I'll message Johan and see how good his English is, and if he's willing, we'll drag him online onto the YouTube channel and see if he'll do a question and answer with us. But by all means, Jason, if you know him well, touch base with him.
I think his English is good now because on his videos and stuff.
If you go to his website, his Facebook page, he does some incredible models of things outside of diecast. Whether he does them for marketing campaigns and this kind of thing, I'm not sure, but he does some brilliant.
I've not seen his Facebook. I've not seen his Facebook page. I've not seen his. That'd be interesting, then, wouldn't it?
Yes,
that'd be interesting.
Great. Do you guys know that Johan at Belgium Diecast? That's the one, Martin. Red with green wheels. Long day. See you all Friday. See you later, Mick. Sorry, mate, if I missed you. Take care, buddy.
Take it easy, Mick.
I'll send you a pic. Jay's saying I'll send you a pic when it's done. Love this channel. Brilliant. That's what we're here for. We're hoping everybody does. Our work here is done if everybody's loving the channel. That is good. That's great feedback. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Beautiful, mate.
Johan does nice work. Yes, he does. He's a great craftsman. Because he's an artist in real life.
What's his Facebook page then? Is it just under Johan or under?
Yeah, if you look on, if you have a look for him by name, by his own name, not Belgian Dark, it's Johan for.
Yeah, send me a link. Send me a link, mate.
I will do. Let me do a search for Johan. Sorry, this is Johan van der Veld. Yes,
Van der Veld.
Van der Veld. VANDEV.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. All right, then that'll do.
Yeah. Shoulder length there. You'll spot him. Does nice work. Yes, he does. Right, back on board. So we'll do the ones that we've got, the categories that we've got coming up. We've been covering these bases these last few weeks just by doing questions, which it looks like everybody's enjoying because not everybody's here when we did it the first time around. But a couple of chapters that we need to cover are tools, I think. Not everybody's familiar with what everybody else is using. And Michael cost me a bloody fortune every time he puts something up that I should buy. Yes, the last being the 3D printer, but I love my 3D printer. I do love my 3D printer.
But the thing is, when you buy stuff that I recommend, you're always happy with it.
Yes.
Just give me a moment, chap. You carry on.
Well, in that case, then I'll throw one back at you. You need to get the mini dim saw. That I've seen. Dimension saw is we used to do in the joinery trade. The little tabletop circular saw, but it's also got a drill attachment on it. I think they might all be made by the same company, you know.
Probably.
Yeah, or miniature versions of, but they look great. They look fantastic. I do like that. I do like that pillar drill, that mini one.
Well, so that mini drill that I showed earlier was a snippet that I saw on a Facebook ad. You know how you get the ad when you're looking for your posts, and I don't trust ads on Facebook, so I look outside of Facebook.
Well, it's like that. Is it Seeker or Seeku? I'm not on about the model of cards. There's a tool manufacturer called Seeker or Seeku that they're finding new ways of reinventing tools. Some great tools out there that have come out.
The thing that we need to, when it comes to tools and things like that, look for in jewelers stuff, jewelers tools, jewelers anvils, jewelers hammers, because all the jewelry stuff is right, because the jewelry stuff is also small, so that's where those tools will come in handy, what they use.
Yeah, you can get things like these little tapping hammers.
Well,
Jason's asked. I've got a room that's like a garage. To be honest, I've got more stuff in here than.
Yeah. Jason has asked, are 3D printers expensive? To answer that, Jason,
he's away. So, good night, lads. Have a good weekend, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Ian hasn't he hasn't resolved the messenger issue. Yes, sorry, Jason. 3D printers expensive. Between 300 and 350 will cover your basis for a basic model, which is what we've all got at the same. Sorry, we've all got the same model at the moment, which is the Anycubic
Mono 2. And to further extend a little bit for Jason's question, depends on whether if you're asking for a resin printer or a PLA printer.
Yeah,
right.
I've had both, Jason, and I would highly recommend the resin printer on the results of what I've had. That's not to say that PLA printers don't have their uses, but I've had more successes with the resin printers, and the finish is a lot smoother, which is, I think, is one of the main points, and faster. But it's not just the resin printer. You have to split it into. There's two parts to it. You've got the printer, where it actually prints off your. It prints off your figure upside down, something along like this Hell Slayer. It prints this figure off, and when it comes out the 3D printer, it's still soft. So you put it into another device, which is a washer and a curer, and it washes off the excess resin and hardens the resin under a UV light. And something else I've picked up with repairs on that, but I'll bring that up in a possibly future episode, if not this one. So yes, you need to be able to wash it, print it, obviously, and then wash it and cure it to make it clean and harden it. Although you could get away with resin you can't use soapy water. It doesn't act well with soapy water. Resin doesn't. It's like petrol. It just sits on top, or an oil, which will sit on top of the water.
The water washable resins you clean with soap and water. The water washables. That's why they have water washables.
Yeah,
the ones that you and I use.
Yeah.
The ones that you and I use, they're the ones that you wash with the alcohol. But there is water washable out there. Even the organic resins are usually water washable. So you use soap and water to clean off the excess.
Well, the thing is, it's a lot like the tools, in so much as when you first start the hobby, you might just go and I don't know how old everybody is, but you might go and raid your dad's shed to find if he's got a file set and some basic screwdrivers and a standard drill, and then you'll move on and go, well, I want a pillar drill and I want some mini screwdrivers and mini diamond files and all this kind of thing. It's the same with the. I've been saying this to Michael for the last, to the boys for the last several weeks. knowing what I know now, firstly, I wouldn't have brought a filament printer. I would have brought a resin printer. And on top of that, I'd have also brought the bigger version of the resin printer, because we started out wanting to do replacement parts for vehicles, and then I went down a completely different track of wanting to do some of the models, the Ray Harryhausen models from when I was a kid, so Jason the Argonaut figures, this kind of thing, and you wanted to make them taller. Well, you've only got you've got a limited build space on the Photon 2. So we've already been discussing about upgrading already.
Yeah, see, we've gone from the discussion. Is it worth getting a printer? Right? Is it worthwhile? And see, at the time, I looked outside the area of making parts, or right from the get go, where at first you were focused on just the die-cast part itself. Right? But now that you've got it, you've expanded outside that area. You can see the value. That's why you got the small one in the first place. And now you can say, okay, well, I've got the baby one. Now you can start your print farm, get the next size up, or you go to the maximum size that you can get at a reasonable budget. Right.
Which is about 350 quid. I'm kind of, if like Michael says, I mean, me and Michael are both in the same position, so I'm not embarrassing him. We're both looking for work. We've both been made redundant over the recent times. So, and we're both of a similar age where I don't think we're at the front of the list when people are interviewing either.
No, we're at the end. We're at the end where they don't like our experience. You see, we talk back.
It might be that. But my mum goes to. Another quick question for you, Jason. Are you in the UK? I don't know if you're in the States or Europe or in the UK. But my mum goes to what's called a knit and natter club on a Thursday nights, where the ladies of her age all go for a natter and do a lot of knitting. And she said to me, she says, have you still got that thingy you do that makes them objects, that makes them special shapes? I said, you're on about the 3D? She says, yes, the 3D printer. She says, can you make me a wool bowl? So what the hell's a wool bowl? Well, it's so Jason's in the UK. It's saying this. It's a wool bowl. Apparently, is just like a normal soup bowl or something like that size shape. But it's got a groove in it, and you put your ball of wool in it, and you catch the thread inside the bowl, and the thread comes out on this slot that's inside the bowl. And my mum says, "Oh, well, I know there's this lady that goes with us, and her son is selling these bowls for £15 a piece." And I said, "Right, I'm having a go at that." And I got home, and of course, the build base. The base of my the build plate, sorry, which is I haven't got it here. I've put it back on the. Oh no, I have got it here. Sorry, I have got it here. So that's a build plate. So when we're talking about 3D printing, the print is going up and down like that, but it's governed by how big. Your print's always going to be governed by the size of that build plate. And the next size up is double that, and then you're talking being able to print sort of action man size figures and that kind of thing. But it all comes at a cost. All comes at a cost. Michael, over to you.
So seeing as Jason's in the UK, he can buy a second-hand 3D printer the size of ours from about 25 quid. Because I have already sent links to Martin for that, so you don't have to go. If you want new, you're looking for about 150, 180 quid. But so if you really want to go cheap, go second hand, right? And you pick them up for about 25, 30 quid onwards.
Also, you've got to take into account spares and repairs. So a bottle of resin, which is what's in here, I've recently upgraded. It's amazing the conversations we get into, but are really helpful when we start talking about certain things. I've been currently using any cubic standard grey resin. I mentioned to Michael that it's a little bit flimsy, for want of a better word, and there is an ABS version which is more stoic, I suppose is one way of putting it. It's
just got a little bit more stiffness in the resin side of things for it.
Especially because what I pointed out to the guys was, if you're doing figures like this where you've got the horns on the camera, the horns on the top of the head, and you've got little protrusions coming off on the elbows, etc., they will soon break off. It's not it doesn't answer all your ills, but I need a stiffer resin, and I think that's what the Warhammer guys use, because there's a lot of Warhammer plans that you can get now. You don't have to go and buy the £72 tips. You can get them off and done yourself. Right. I know Martin's started to gain a bit of interest in that. I know but he's also got. He also does a lot of other models, and not everybody knows Martin Dare as much as we know Martin Dare. He does
go down that road.
YouTube channel, but what everybody doesn't get to see is some of the fantastic clockwork models that he does. And I will never get you into trouble, Mr. Dare, never in a million years. Sadly, I know what a wool bowl is, Jerry. Lost to the knitting cloth.
I didn't buy it at Wally's.
So we ought to have we've got Hully's Corner on the Friday in the tavern. We must have a Dare 10 or something for Dare for his other projects that aren't diecast, because he does some beautiful detailed models that are not diecast. So we'll hopefully we'll give Martin fair warning, just to get two or three models he can talk about, and we'll bring that up in a future episode. I'm always looking for new content that we can create that's something a little bit out of the norm. Good stuff. What role does research play in your restorations? Right. Okay. Martin, did we do this one?
No, we haven't done that one.
Okay. What role does research? No, full enough. We got the books out earlier on, didn't we? Yeah. What role does research play in your restorations, especially when working on historically significant or rare models? 5 Scotches, and I can still say historically or significant.
Yeah, you did well there. Then you got the last bit right. You got the last bit right, mate. Yeah.
I'm still going to spell Masonic. Moving on. So, Martin, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Okay. That's a bit specific, that question. Historic and rare. Well, I think the first thing, if you get your hands on a rare model, obviously being a restorer, you're going to want to rip it to bits and redo it. But that's another, like a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's, if you get something what's rare and historical, do you even want to restore it? You know,
or to buy it.
But there again, let's take it for instance that it is damaged and you want to fix it up, because some of these stuff, yes, that they class it as rare, but it's not rare. You know, you get a lot of that on eBay, especially. Oh, this is a rare one, but then you go down about 3 or 4 items, and the same ones there half the price. So, let's say, for instance, you got a Shuko clockwork toy, an old one, or if you've got a pre-war dinky toy, which is a sort of 1930s, 1935, 1936 dinky toy. it goes on the research. If you have got one and you don't know what color it originally was coming out of the factory, then you're best buying. Well, nowadays you've got internet, so you don't need to buy any books. But I personally, I'm of that age. I like to have a book in my hand, paper. You know, I like to see, and I keep it on the reference. I mean, my books I've got here, they're well worn. I keep them in the kitchen. Funny enough, I know it's a strange place to keep them, but I keep my research books in the kitchen because I spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
Well, you talk and I'll hold up examples.
Yeah, these sort of books that PJ's holding up there very nicely. Thank you very much, PJ. And yes, very nice, very nice. And
I'll give you better. What was the name? Anthea Turner.
oh, Anthony Redfern.
Anthea Redfern. Yeah. Scores on the doors, love.
But no, I think it's depending how far you want to go with the model itself. With research, I find the Google images for me, if I'm doing a 1960s, 1970s upwards vehicle, I will go on Google Images to see where the details are, e.g. the lights, backlights, front lights, door handles, and if the model is a casting line or isn't a casting line. I have come across that mistake a few times. When I first ever did a Bedford CA, I meticulously filed off this casting line, which I thought was a casting line. It turned out it wasn't a casting line, and I thought, you flipping idiot. So you've got to, if you want to look at and make it look fairly authentic, then you need to look at Google Images, or if you've got any of the books that PJ was kind of holding up, they're always handy to have to look back on. If you will need to find out what sort of wheels it had on it originally, but didn't have wheels when you got it, the research is always good. Again, looking through the books, looking through everything else, looking on the Google again, as I say. Keep reverting to Google, but it is a quick and easy way to look at stuff.
Yeah, Little Wheels Museum. Little Wheels Museum is a good site to look at, because they have the Corgis, Dinkies, Matchbox. They have some techno, they have some spot on. It's all from the different brands. There was another site that I recently found, which I've posted in the DMC Facebook page. For those that do the box art, he has photos of the cars themselves from all angles, and he also has the box art from all angles as well, because a lot of restorers out there that do the box art these days.
Yeah, so it's important. Sorry, PJ. Yeah, it's fairly important.
I think
depending what you want to do.
We've also got quite a few, like Michael and Laz and Martin to a certain extent. They've got huge collections of cars now. So, I mean, I've lost count how many times I've asked Martin what colour is such and such a make or model. But we've now got actual physical examples that we can refer to and say, "Yeah, I've got one," you know, or I know somebody who's got one, and we will share information best we can. We're diameter sizes on wheels, you name it. There's nothing that it's like a mini. We're like a mini museum stroke and encyclopedia all put together in
repository.
Yeah, repository. I was titter. Sorry, that was wrong of me. It just sounds wrong. Repository.
Yeah, it is. It's the old thing, isn't it? It depends what you want to do with it. Do you want to return it to? If you want to return it to a basic factory model as it came out of the factory, then all you'll need to know is the tire size and the color and whereabouts. If if it was a two-tone, whereabouts they drew the line, because as we know, Corgis and Dinkies come out of the factory, the early ones, that is, before they started using plastic lights and things like that. is basic lights just painted red at the back. There was no real detail on the front grills. It was just all silver. But if you want to just tweak it a little bit, like I like to tweak mine, because I think these guys who designed these castings, I mean, if you look at a bare casting on some of the older Corgis and Dinkies, you think yourself, you know, they went to a lot of trouble to put these details in this casting, and then it gets covered up with this thick enamel paint. And I just like to see when it's stripped and pick out those small fine details. I just think it brings that model that little bit step nearer to being more realistic than it originally was, but without taking away the fact that it's an old model, you know.
When they were doing the details of those toys in those days, I wanted to make the car look as realistic as possible, because that's how we played with them, as if we were motoring down the road and not racing them. You know, what Hot Wheels changed the scope of die-cast toys, in that prior to Hot Wheels, we used our imagination. We went boom, 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 boom down the road, or blah, 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 like an engine noise. And we changed our gears as we shoved the car down the street. When Hot Wheels came into it, was all about racing and being fast. And that's where we lost a lot of details in the cars.
It shouldn't be lost that these are kids' toys that we're talking about. You know, we're treating them like museum collectors, and they are kids' toys at the end of the day.
Well, that's what they were. That's why I say don't get too hung up on colour shades.
Absolutely.
And things like this. I mean, I don't. There's a borderline between how much detail you want to put on an old Corgi and an old Dinky. I mean, I won't go to the point of putting all these little tiny little bits on it, because then you just might as well buy an Atlas. You know, that they've done all the if you want extra detail, the Atlas and the Agastinis, they've done all the reproduction ones, and they put on all the extra details. You know, and stuff like this. It's just nice to get the older vehicles, strip the paint off, see what you've got. Like some of the bulldozers, like what Jason's got there. He's got that tractor. You could get that, and you can detail the engine on that one, not to a massive extent, but just paint the engine different to what the actual color that Dinky did it. That'll just bring that little bit of 3D dimension to it, and you can paint in a little bit of detail, maybe the starter motor a different color, or maybe the oil filter, just to give it that little bit of bling, you know. And it doesn't make it look like it's a trinket. It just brought that to life a little bit. Yeah.
A lot of times less is more. A lot of times.
Well, yes.
I don't know if you're still in the chat, Andy, but Andy's saying, you won that Captain Scarlet lot at the auction, PJ. God knows how much that cost me.
Oh, no.
He said, how much did I spend? I said, well, don't go over a tenner, so God knows how much it's cost.
What is that? A Victor's? Was that one of them Victor's auctions?
I don't know. I'm a
Oh,
little bit worried. Ian's saying, sadly, this phone's crap. Mr. Hollister, we have got to take you to a phone shop and get you a second-hand cheap phone that's capable of, just getting you on here. We don't need it to be anything special. Way to where it says connect, and it wouldn't, and then it said join stream, swiped it, and it wouldn't let me know me. What I'm going to do, Mr. Hollister, I've got several phones in a drawer. I'll see if I can get one to connect, and if I can get it to connect to this, you're more than welcome to have it. Being as he does so much for everybody else, Ian does. Bless him.
Don't forget to factory reset it, though, PJ.
Don't forget to factory reset it. Absolutely. I don't want to give my internet search history away. I'm going to disappear for a short while. Need cat food. There's going to be trouble. All right, Jerry. No worries, buddy. Thank you again for joining us on Friday.
Yeah.
We hope to see you again, mate. It's a pleasure having you. It's great we get people from abroad joining us as well. Bit of a worldwide organisation we are now.
Got the map here.
Your mafia, yeah. And all the best to the cat. Are there any? I've got a feeling we've done. I've got a feeling we've done this. Are there any diecast models that are notoriously difficult to restore
Yeah, we've
due
done
to
this.
their design or materials? I think we
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've done that.
we've
Yeah,
done
we
something
did.
similar.
we did.
Yeah, it's the same question, but just differently dressed up. That's
Just put it
AI
on,
for you.
I'm going to start to come up with some new questions. Look, as Corgi Bob was once asked, what red did you do that dinky fire engine? And he answered, whatever red they had in the shop. Absolutely fair point, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair point.
Yeah, that's the one. Red's red, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, so like the photos that you see on Google Images and things like that for colours, the camera picks up colours in so many different ways. Depending, even from one camera to the next, you'll get different shades come out.
Oh yeah, of course you will, Michael. Yeah, of course you will, mate. Yeah.
I think I'm going to come across this. I've got a question, and it's not the answer I think we want to be answering, but it raises a valid point. How do you?
Because I would put a challenge out to rivet counters. If you just bring out the body of a car of a casting, one of them that you've restored yourself and painted as close to what we think is the original color, have an original casting, just a body in its own color, and put it next to each other and get that rivet counter and say which one's the original. Now, with no bling on it, let's say the Corgi Pullman, as you know, it's the prime example that I always use, where I've got 6 of them together and they're all different shades. All right.
Yeah.
And you get the rivet counter to say which one's the original. 9 times out of 10, he'll pick the one that's restored.
You've also got to remember the method that they used to spray these things at the factory.
Yeah.
They was on a carousel and they were spinning round at a good speed, and the guns were pointing. The guns were pointing at them, you know. And when the girls painted the two-tone, that was done. And then when they painted the grills on, it was just a thin metal mask held up to the thing and sprayed across like this. So you're spinning a model round like that, and you're painting it. You're never going to get the exact same color, because at one point of the car, it's not going to get as much paint as the others, is it? Sorry, PJ.
There's an interesting question here, and I don't think it. It doesn't describe what we do as a group. And the reason I'm saying that is, how do you ensure that the restored diecast models retain their value for collectors? I think we're the wrong group to be asking that kind of question, really.
Well, no, I think not necessarily, PJ. I think
no, we're not rivet counters. So,
no, but people do buy restored vehicles.
Yeah.
Because one, they'd like a nice example of the vehicle in their collection. They might have a collection of really nice vehicles, originals, and they've got maybe up 2 or 3 missing, and they don't want to put a really dirty, scruffy, moth-eaten dinky toy in their nice-looking collection. And there are some people who are out there who want it, who are not necessarily too fussed about it being original, but they just want to collect it, and they can't find a decent example, and they can't do it themselves. So there is.
Depending on you, I mean.
Classic example. Let's take Shane Holmyard. Classic example. He does the Batmobiles. Yeah. And there's Brett Sumler on one of the other channels. He does a lot of the Bond cars. You know, and they sell them. So that there is a market for restored vehicles, depending what it is. like Batmobiles. I mean, obviously Shane's he's done quite well out of it over in a period of time, and I know one or two other people. So if you've got a vehicle that you're good at doing, and it's a popular vehicle, like the James Bond, the Batmobile, you know, which is notoriously complicated to put together, then yes, I think the answer to yes, there is value in it.
There is, but
And I think
there's a certain amount. One of the most heartbreaking things. I mean, it's business. I'll give you an example of something that I find heartbreaking. That if you go on eBay, I mean, me and the boys we've been to a lot of toy shows, collectors fairs, and things like that now. And you see the original models and the value that they're fetching, and they will get to a point where there's only so many now left. So then it moves on to the scrappers and the restored, which then start, by definition, pumping up in value because they become the next hard to get thing. Like, but what I found heartbreaking was there was a Space 1999 Eagle transporter, and somebody was collecting them. And you know, it's nothing against them; it's business. I understand that, but they were breaking the model down into its various components and selling it. And by the time they'd sold it in its individual parts, they were making more than it was being sold for as a complete item, probably double at least.
Well,
because people want that engine, or they want that module in the middle was fetching £80 on its own.
That's classic example of doing that. It doesn't always relate to die-cast. That relates a lot. That relates a lot into the when I was restoring 00 gauge and N gauge railway engines and locomotives and stuff like this. You get guys on there you'll be looking for a particular locomotive or a locomotive to restore, and you see one come up. There's a Triangle Princess would come up, and you think, oh yeah, it's okay, but it's got no tender. And then you look further down the line, the guy selling the tender is completely separate. You know, I mean, really, that engine came with a tender in the set. You buy it with a tender, and then the guy's splitting it and selling the tender separate. So, you know what I mean? And you know it's the same person because you just look at the seller's other items. Or you get people who will strip the engine down. They would sell the body, they would sell the bogies, they would sell the arms. Because it's like scrap cars. There's more value in the parts than the actual car itself. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we're all of an age where the cars I mean, when I first started, I was looking for the cars and vehicles, models from my era, which was kind of 70 onwards. So anything Jerry Anderson, anything Batmobile-wise, Captain Scarlet, these kind of, or the little, like the army cannons where you had a spring-loaded matchbox.
Oh, the Britons and and the Lone Stars and stuff. Yeah.
And the knights on the Britons, soldiers and knights, that kind of thing. And we were talking about the older than model. Some of them are not selling now at all because the generations moved on by 10, 15, 20 years. There's a brilliant documentary on YouTube about I've mentioned it to the boys before. There's in Leicester, there's a collector's shop, and they were saying, like, we've got all these models and they're just not selling because there's no demand for them because it's not your generation of vehicle, you know.
Well, that's it. Yeah, you're going to get to the stage where that generation gap of our age and maybe a few years younger. I mean, my kids, for example, they're in their like 40s, and they wouldn't remember, you know, their era with Skeletor and, you know, Micro Machines. You know, they're the sort of things. If you were gonna aim to make money out of the future generation, it will be collecting Micro Machines, He-Man, and that sort of thing. That sort of 80s, 90s, 80s, and late 80s and 90s would be the future collectors. If your kids would have grown, like my kids would have grown up, and when in 20 years' time, my kids might say, "Yeah, I remember He-Man," Oh, I used to have one of them when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So it's a different era.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what would survive? That's the thing. How many toys made in the 80s and the 90s? Well, let's say the 90s. To be honest with you, toys made in the 90s, will they last 60, 70, 80 years like the toys I did in the 50s and the 60s? I mean, you can pick up and look at a dinky toy or a corgi toy, even a Matchbox, regular wheels. You can pick one out of a job lot, and it's like 70 years old, and it's
That's
still in
what it
really,
is. I'm thinking
really,
about it now, and
you know, condition is okay.
we're saying that Luke's gone. One of Luke's, Luke is now Diecast rival. One of our crew he's out today. He's doing metal detecting, and I'm just thinking to myself, when I was a kid, we lived on a council street, so it was all council houses, and everybody was back in the 70s to late 70s, early 80s. You got a garden where your dad was growing his own vegetables and stuff like that, you know, like potatoes and cabbage and all. And you think to yourself, if I could go around many of these houses with a metal detector,
Yeah.
how many cars would you retrieve that are buried in these bloody cabbage patches and God knows what from days gone by? Be hundreds of them.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would.
Sorry, we're ignoring the chat and my apologies, guys. Jason, I use knives more when stripping the paint, but struggled to get the odds stuck in the place. But struggled to get the hard stuck in the place bit off. I know what you mean. I've tried wire wool and wire brushes. What do you guys recommend? Okay. There's no hard and fast way. The first way you would possibly approach it is the dangerous method, which is caustic soda. You can't get away from it. It is volatile material to use. If that doesn't work, then you've got to put it into a paint stripping gel. If you can't afford, now don't get me wrong, some people can use the guns and the media and strip them back. I think Michael's got a setup and one or two other people paint stripping. But for people just looking for liquids, it's going to be a paint stripper, Jason, or caustic soda. Now, I will pick on something that Michael pointed out to me. If you're using caustic soda, put the caustic soda in first. It's a lot safer, and add the water afterwards, not the other way around. It is dangerous. It will spit back in your face, and it is a massive skin irritant. But there's no hard. In actual fact, I've used both. I've used caustic soda. It hasn't shifted, like you say, these hard to get places. Then put it in some bog standard paint stripper gel. Leave it overnight. You tend to find that'll clear the rest of it up. If it's the gold and silver chrome, you're looking at oven cleaner, Mr. Muscle oven cleaner. Get yourself a buttered dish. You get from Poundland and you get a tray, set of 5 in a set with lids. Put your canopies or your interiors in there that are sprayed gold or silver. Spray it over, get a good foam, seal it shut, leave it 20 minutes. You'll come back and find that all that chrome and gold's gone. Martin.
Michael's got something to say first.
Michael.
Yeah. Besides the caustic soda and hot water treatment, yes, you've got the paint strippers. You've got Dettol, you've got orange strip if you want to be really eco. The orange strip, which Time Rider and a lot of the US guys use. Let it sit in there overnight, Dettol overnight. For the casting, not for the plastics. Sometimes a needle, a sharp needle, sometimes to get into the tight spots where the gels and the caustic soda doesn't work. the sandblasting, well, they call it a sandblasting unit, but you can use the coarse sand medium. You can use glass beads, as Shane Holmyard now uses, because there's very little dust in it. You could use baking
Good
soda.
night, Tony. Sorry,
Part of soda blasting.
sorry, just to interrupt you for a second, Michael. Tony's on. I think I may have missed him. If not, bless you,
Good night,
Tony.
Tony.
Thanks for joining us, mate. Have a good weekend. See you soon, mate. Take care.
See you, Tony. Thanks for dropping by. Nice to see you again.
It was good to see him. They used it a lot. Sorry, Michael. My apologies.
That's right. A good medium is soda blasting. It's baking soda, but it's very dusty. But it also polishes your casting at the same time for it.
The other thing to bear in mind is if you're watching YouTubers in different countries, those materials are not always available worldwide.
Yeah, that's why I've gone through the gambit of the caustic soda, the paint stripping, the sandblasting, the Dettol, or which has a mild solution of caustic soda in it. You've got Drano, which is sort of drain cleaner, which is a very weak form of caustic soda. Again, it's various things. It's in my younger days, it was a screwdriver.
I think we've been joined by Graham. Graham is here, the Aussie nurse flipper. I think lead paint. Good to see you, Graham. We got Jerry into the chat on Friday night. Need to get you in there now. That's next Friday's challenge.
Right.
Go on.
I'm going to say to Karen with that subject.
Paint stripping.
I find that if you're going to use the paint stripper, obviously you're going to soak it overnight if you want to, or you're going to leave it for however long you leave it. The longer the better, because it won't do it any damage like caustic soda will. Get your toothbrush, obviously a toothbrush. You probably already know this anyway. Go around with your toothbrush best you can. Rinse it through in the water what you're going to rinse it out. I'll get it out as much of the gel out as you can. And what I'll find then is once it starts to dry off, if you're using a Dremel or a multi-tool with them wire wheels, you've probably seen the ones that I use. They're worn down ones, and they're worn down to a point. Yeah. You get some of them, you can use them and use them. They twist down to like a little nub. Yeah. Now, if you put that on your drill bit, or if you've got a Dremel or a multi-tool, that'll get into your corners, and that'll rip enough paint off for you to be able to prime it and get in there with it. That's what I find. I'll get in there and I use my wire wheels and brushes until they're worn right down. Not the round ones, the flat round ones. They're no good for that. You want the other ones, the
ones that create a cone,
like a cone shape, and and it twists around, and you can get it in, push it right in, and jam it in there, and that's how I get all mine out. Really, that's the best way I could do it.
Wear some glasses.
Oh yeah, obviously safety glasses are a must. Safety glasses are a must.
We're all wearing glasses these days.
Yeah, and then you get in there with a sharp knife, a long bladed sharp knife, and just scratch it off. If it's underneath the base on the interior, perhaps get as much off as you possibly can. But that's what my advice. Get in there with the worn down wire brush, the wire, whatever, I can't remember what it is. Wire wheel type of things,
Over the last 10 minutes, here comes trouble. Gotcha. Good evening, JMO. How are you, mate? Good to see you in the chat. Mr. Paul James from Pimp My Darkcaster joined the chat. Good to see you, mate. How are you? We're coming up to our 2. I didn't think we'd make it this week, but we're coming up to our 2 hour mark. It's
Oh, my
flown
stomach's
by, hasn't it?
rumbling.
It's flown by this week. Yeah, it's toast time almost.
Almost toast time.
What is the most rewarding aspect of restoring a diecast model for you personally? Well, that rings a bell like we've already done that. Bent metal parts. Do you use any digital tools or techniques like 3D print? That's probably me and Michael and Luke special that we'll do before Christmas as well. We're going to do a 3D printing.
I'll do it when I go.
One-off.
Oh, good.
How did you decide when to preserve the original? How do you decide when to preserve the original paint and when to completely remove
Yeah.
paint diecast? Well, okay, I'll rephrase that and I'll ask it again in English. How do you decide when to preserve the original paint and when to completely repaint a diecast model? Well, surely it's got to be a couple of things. I'll answer first for a change. The age, the condition, and how much paint there is left on it. Because if it's got hardly any paint left on it, you're going to paint it. It's pretty straightforward, really, isn't it? Or am I missing the point? No.
Yeah, I think the point is this: even if it's an older toy and it's got paint chips, for instance, it's not that badly worn and faded, but it's got a serious lot with paint chips where it's been kicked around the floor, it's been smashed into other cars. The usual sort of paint chips you'll find on an old Corgi, an old dinky die cast. Then I think, yes, if it's not too bad, I would just clean it up, polish it, clean it up, and look at it. If it's pleasing to the eye, then, like I say, if it's not faded paint, if it's not too badly chipped or scratched down the side, then fine. Wash it, polish it, buff it up, and do it. Do the wheels, buff the wheels up. But if you try and touch it up with you're going to struggle to match the paint. Matching the paint is not your only problem if you're going to do stuff like that. You got to imagine the thickness of the paint on the original model. They use an enamel-based paint. So if you look at it, you've got to build that paint up to make it level with the paint what's already on it. So you can double color on it. You can put a bit of red marker pen on it. You could find a color match paint and you can put it on it. But you're gonna know that it's there. What you'll probably end up doing is enhancing the damage, because you'll see it more. You'll draw your eye to it because it's fresh paint, and you will draw your eye to that, and you'll see the outline of the chip. Yeah. So you've got to build that up. You've either got to put some primer, hand painted primer in there, let it dry, do it. So in order to do that, you've got to think to yourself, well, I've got several chips all over this, all over the bonnet, all down the wing. Do you treat it like a car your own car, a real car? You wouldn't take your car expecting to put all your splodges of touch-up paint all around it. You might as well have the whole wing stripped and repainted, So it's what you're going to live with. How far do you want to live with it? Do you want to live with it with a few chips on it and put up with it, polish it, buff it up? It's all original paint. Nothing's been touched. Put it in your cabinet, or you strip it and repaint it, because otherwise you touch it up, it's going to make it worse.
It's basically, what's the end game? Is it your satisfaction, or are you selling it?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're selling it, I wouldn't even touch it up, because you're selling it, because it's like anything else. If you're selling something to somebody, they're always going to get it and they go, "Oh, this doesn't look like the pictures. Look at that. You can see all the chip marks in it, blah, 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 blah." So, that's a tricky way of doing it. It is.
Well, I've just had a count up, and we've got 4 weeks left. 4 episodes left before the end of the year. I don't know where all that time's gone. So 2 of those episodes are going to be taken up by tools and 3D printing. So if anybody in the chat wants to get us to talk about a particular category or subject matter between in the spaces we've got left, I will reach out to Johan and see if he'd be prepared to come and.
I'll say it doesn't have to be die-cast. It could be anything, really.
Yeah, could be anything. Anything you want to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing we had penciled in was to talk about anything other than die-cast. Oh, sorry, any other models other than die-cast, so plastic kits, wooden kits,
Legos, whatever,
Legos, whatever. So we can. So we're basically looking at if we can get Johan on board, we'll do that. Tools, 3D printing, and any other models, and that'll take us up to the end of the year, and that's almost took us up to the end of the show for this week. Closing thoughts? Anything, Martin? Any closing thoughts for this week?
No, just take your time, take it easy, don't rush anything, and then you'll be fine. And don't forget, ask the question. If you want any questions answering, don't ask me. But and feel free. Yeah.
And I'll add, if we can do it, so can you.
Anybody can do it.
Oh yeah, definitely, Mark. Definitely.
Our lads, I'm going to take one out of the D's book. Thank you to our new subscribers, new followers, and any old subscribers that have come back to join us this week. As Mr. Dare would say, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Jason, it's a pleasure. Come and join us. Come and join us on Facebook if you haven't already done that, mate. You'll fit right in.
Nice talking to you, Jason. Nice talking to you.
Jamie's hated work with a passion. I'm not going to go into what the ins and outs of why, but she's had a rough day by the sounds of it. You'll find him along with us on Facebook as well. We've had a good year this year. We've set a new level with our charity fund. Over £400 we raised for charity for the Alzheimer's Society this month as well. Our body count of members is going up and up and up, thanks to how it's been promoted by our friends and colleagues with other YouTube channels, like the likes of Martin and Michael, Luke, JMO, who advertise the channel for us. It's going up and up. It's all positive stuff, and we're getting more and more benefactors helping out with the running costs. So the more that we, obviously, without sounding selfish, the more that we can get in, the more that we can do. The end game is to win the lottery, get a DMC coach, and travel around the world. But that's not going to happen anytime soon. A mobile workshop. with
Michael's driving.
It's all here as a dream, but it's I'd love to be able to do a mobile workshop where we could go around doing diecast restoration demos.
Mobile man shed.
Come meet us in the Sainsbury's car park where we will repair your diecast models for you.
Well, you'll have to talk to Cliff Richards. He's coming out to Australia. You might be able to hitch a ride with him and tell him to do the bus tour again.
Dear Cliff, we'll restore all your diecast collection. I don't know how big he is in diecast. Right, bang on the button. It's almost 10 o'clock with a minute to spare. So I'm going to say, on behalf of Martin, thank you, Martin, as always. Michael, thank you for jumping in, sir. We know we're short of Luke this week, so thank you for joining in. Night to everybody in the chat, the irregular regulars, always a pleasure. And we'll see you. We haven't decided on what the subject matter will be, but we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
So, we'll just wing it like we normally do.
We'll wing it. So this is PJ signing off behalf of Martin Dare and Michael, and we'll see you soon.
Good night.